Nobody at St. Gabriel Medical Center paid much attention to Maya Brooks. She was a new rookie nurse who kept her head down, arrived before sunrise, and left long after her shifts ended. She never bragged about herself. She never joined workplace gossip. She never reacted when people underestimated her. To most people, she looked ordinary, a quiet black woman in her late 30s who moved through hospital hallways with remarkable calmness. But beneath her scrubs lived a history that nobody could imagine, a history buried under classified files, secret deployments, impossible missions, and sacrifices no one would ever fully understand. Every scar she carried had a story. Every sleepless night had a reason. Then one ordinary Tuesday morning, everything changed. Several military vehicles arrived outside the hospital entrance. Decorated officers stepped out, carrying medals and a sealed wooden box. Within minutes, the entire hospital would discover that the rookie nurse they had dismissed was once one of America's most elite Black Ops veterans. And what happened next would leave everyone speechless. Before we begin, if stories that expose prejudice, reveal hidden strength, and celebrate extraordinary people inspire you, make sure to like this video, share it with someone who believes kindness matters, comment where you're watching from, and subscribe to Black Legacy so you never miss another powerful story. Because today's story isn't simply about a nurse. It's about how the world often overlooks greatness when it arrives wearing humility instead of status. And sometimes, the strongest heroes are the ones nobody notices at all. The city of Richmond had always moved at a relentless pace. The streets buzzed with commuters before dawn. Ambulances echoed through busy intersections. The skyline glowed with endless ambition. Inside St. Gabriel Medical Center, every day felt like controlled chaos. Doctors rushed between departments. Nurses balanced impossible workloads. Patients filled waiting rooms. Lives changed every minute. Maya Brooks entered this world 6 months earlier. On paper, she was an unusual hire. Most rookie nurses were fresh graduates in their 20s. Maya was 38. Her resume looked strangely empty for someone her age. There were unexplained gaps spanning nearly 2 decades. Her references were unusually brief. Several portions were marked confidential. The hospital administration had questioned it initially, but federal verification quickly cleared her application. After that, nobody asked further questions. People simply created their own assumptions. Many believed she had struggled through life. Others assumed she had worked odd jobs before pursuing nursing. Some even thought she was inexperienced. Those assumptions never bothered Maya. She had spent too many years learning that strangers often build entire narratives around appearances. She had grown accustomed to being underestimated. What did bother her was seeing patients suffer unnecessarily. That was why she chose nursing. After 20 years serving in dangerous environments, she wanted her remaining years to revolve around healing instead of survival. Yet adapting to civilian life proved harder than she expected. She had spent most of adulthood operating under absolute discipline. Every movement once carried life or death consequences. Every decision required precision. Every mistake could cost innocent lives. Now she was learning how to exist in ordinary society, learning how to slow down, learning how to belong. Unfortunately, not everyone welcomed her. Her supervisor, Linda Mercer, embodied quiet prejudice hidden beneath professional smiles. Linda wasn't openly hostile. She was something more dangerous. She underestimated people selectively, especially Black women. Linda constantly scrutinized Maya's work. She assigned her heavier workloads. She questioned her decisions. She micromanaged every detail. Meanwhile, younger nurses received flexibility and praise. At first, Maya ignored it. She understood human behavior better than most people. Years spent reading dangerous situations had sharpened her instincts. She could detect insecurity immediately, and Linda was deeply insecure. But Maya refused to engage. She focused on her patients instead. Every morning followed a simple routine. She checked vital signs. She comforted anxious families. She remembered birthdays. She memorized patient preferences. She learned who feared needles and who needed extra encouragement. Within months, patients specifically requested her care. Her reputation quietly spread. People trusted her. There was something uniquely calming about her presence. Even the most agitated patients settled around her. Even emergency situations seemed less chaotic when she entered a room. Nobody knew why. Nobody knew her calmness had been forged in war zones. Nobody knew she had once stabilized wounded soldiers while helicopters exploded overhead. Nobody knew she had once carried teammates across enemy territory. Nobody knew she had survived situations most people could never imagine. She intentionally kept that life buried because she never wanted admiration. She wanted peace. But peace wasn't always easy. One afternoon, Maya entered the staff lounge carrying tea. Several nurses sat nearby discussing career accomplishments. Jessica, one of the younger nurses, smiled politely. Another nurse casually asked Maya where she had worked before becoming a nurse. The room grew curious. Maya paused briefly. Then she answered simply, "Government work." The room laughed lightly. Someone joked that government work could mean anything. Another person asked if she worked in an office. Maya smiled softly. She never elaborated. That became another source of speculation. The rumors multiplied. Some believed she had been a clerk. Others assumed administrative work. Linda seemed particularly amused. Every opportunity, she subtly diminished Maya. She frequently reminded everyone that Maya was still technically a rookie. Never mind her flawless performance. Never mind her extraordinary composure. Never mind the fact that doctors increasingly relied upon her judgment. To Linda, Maya remained beneath everyone else. One evening, an emergency patient arrived after a severe highway collision. Panic consumed the emergency room. Doctors shouted instructions. Equipment moved rapidly. Blood covered the floor. Newer nurses froze under pressure. But Maya transformed instantly. Her movements became almost mechanical, controlled, efficient, precise. Her voice remained calm. Her hands never trembled. Within seconds, she organized a room without raising her voice. Doctors noticed immediately. Everyone noticed. The patient survived. Afterward, several staff members stared at her. They couldn't explain what they had just witnessed. It was as if a completely different person had emerged. Then Maya simply washed her hands and continued working. No celebration. No explanation. No recognition sought. Just quiet professionalism. Later that night, alone in her apartment, she opened a wooden box stored inside her closet. Inside were medals, patches, photographs, memories. She touched each item carefully. Faces of teammates stared back at her, some smiling, some no longer alive. 20 years condensed into a single box. At the center sat a folded American flag. She stared at it silently, then closed the lid, because she had promised herself something years ago. That chapter was over. She would never return to that life. She would simply become Maya Brooks, a nurse, a citizen, an ordinary woman. But destiny had other plans, because somewhere, thousands of miles away, members of her old unit were preparing something extraordinary, a reunion nobody expected, a tribute nobody could stop. And within days, the entire hospital would discover exactly who Maya Brooks really was. The following week began like every other week at St. Gabriel Medical Center. The automatic doors opened endlessly as patients, families, and healthcare workers moved in every direction. Maya Brooks arrived at 5:30 in the morning, long before most people started their day. She preferred the silence before sunrise. It reminded her of years when darkness meant preparation rather than fear. She parked in the same spot, carried the same lunch bag, walked the same route into the building. Routine had become her therapy. For 20 years, uncertainty had defined her existence. Now, predictability felt sacred. But hidden beneath her calm exterior, something unusual had begun happening. Over the previous month, Maya had received several anonymous letters. Each one arrived without a return address. Each contained only one sentence. "We have not forgotten what you did for us." Nothing more. No names. No signatures. The first letter surprised her. The second letter made her curious. The third letter made her uneasy. She recognized military language immediately. Whoever was sending them knew her past. And whoever it was had somehow found her. She kept the letters inside her locker. She never mentioned them to anyone. After decades of living under secrecy, old habits remained impossible to erase. At the hospital, Linda Mercer continued her pattern of subtle discrimination. One morning, she reassigned Maya from her usual patients. Instead, she handed her the most difficult floor in the building. Several patients required constant monitoring. One family was threatening legal action. Another patient refused treatment from anyone. Most nurses avoided these assignments. Linda handed them over without hesitation. She disguised prejudice as professionalism. She often said difficult assignments build experience. Yet, somehow Maya always received the impossible tasks. Maya simply nodded. She had survived things far more difficult than unfair management. As she walked away, Linda quietly smirked. What Linda didn't understand was that Maya viewed pressure differently than everyone else. Pressure no longer intimidated her. Pressure felt familiar. Pressure felt safe. Because pressure meant focus. And focus had kept her alive. Over the following hours, Maya calmly navigated every challenge. She de-escalated angry family members. She comforted anxious patients. She coordinated care with remarkable efficiency. Several doctors openly praised her. The compliments only irritated Linda further. Meanwhile, something else was happening outside the hospital walls. Unknown to everyone inside St. Gabriel, several people were traveling toward Richmond. Men and women from different parts of the country. Some had gray hair now. Some walked with slight limps. Some carried scars hidden beneath expensive suits. Others arrived wearing military jackets. They all shared one thing in common. Every single one of them owed their lives to Maya Brooks. Years earlier, she had been known by a different title, Master Sergeant Maya Brooks, Special Operations Medical Specialist, Black Ops veteran, one of the most respected combat medics her unit had ever known. During 20 years of service, she had completed missions nobody could publicly discuss. Officially, many of those operations never existed, but the people she saved certainly existed, and they remembered everything. There was Thomas Reed, a communications specialist. She had carried nearly 2 miles after an ambush left him unable to walk. There was Elena Vasquez, an intelligence officer Maya rescued from a collapsing compound. There was James Porter, a sniper whose life Maya saved after treating a catastrophic injury under enemy fire. One after another, former teammates gathered because they had recently discovered where Maya worked, and they had discovered something else. She was being overlooked, dismissed, underappreciated. It angered them deeply, because if anyone deserved honor, it was Maya Brooks. Meanwhile, at the hospital, Maya remained unaware. Her focus centered entirely on helping others. That afternoon, a young black boy named Elijah arrived with his mother. He had been battling leukemia for months. Treatment had exhausted him physically and emotionally. His spirit had faded. His mother looked overwhelmed. Fear occupied her face constantly. Maya immediately connected with them. She sat beside Elijah. She encouraged him. She listened. She made him feel seen. By the end of her shift, he smiled for the first time in days. His mother nearly cried with relief. Moments like these reminded Maya why she chose this profession. For years, she had fought to preserve life. Now she could help people live it. But not everyone saw her value. Later that week, a promotion opportunity opened within the hospital. Many nurses applied. Maya hesitated initially. Doctors encouraged her. Several patients even submitted glowing reviews praising her care. Eventually, she applied. The staff buzzed with anticipation. Most people quietly believed Maya deserved it. But Linda sat on the promotion committee, and Linda had already made up her mind. During deliberations, Maya's experience became a target. Someone questioned her employment history. Another questioned her age. Linda subtly framed her as unreliable due to her unexplained background. Despite overwhelming evidence of her competence, doubt spread. The promotion went to someone with half her experience. Everyone felt uncomfortable. Nobody openly challenged it. Maya accepted the decision gracefully. But several co-workers began noticing a pattern. This wasn't coincidence anymore. It was bias. Yet Maya refused bitterness. Years ago, she had learned something powerful. Bitterness steals energy from people who deserve peace. So she kept moving forward. The next morning, she found another anonymous letter. This one was different. It contained 2 sentences. Prepare yourself. We are coming home. For the first time in months, Maya sat completely still. Home. Only one group of people ever referred to themselves that way. Her old unit. A flood of emotions hit her instantly. Memories returned. Faces returned. Loss returned. Joy returned. She stared at the letter for several minutes before carefully folding it away. Suddenly, her peaceful civilian life felt fragile because she knew exactly what those words meant. Something significant was about to happen. Across the country, the convoy grew larger. Military officers joined. Veterans joined. Families joined. A formal request had already been submitted through official channels. One final mission. Honor Maya Brooks, the woman who never sought recognition, the woman who disappeared quietly after retirement, the woman who believed nobody remembered. How wrong she was. The date had been chosen. Tuesday morning, only 4 days away. And Tuesday would become the most unforgettable day St. Gabriel Medical Center had ever witnessed. Tuesday arrived under gray skies. The air felt unusually still. Maya sensed something different immediately. Years of training had sharpened instincts that never disappeared. She noticed unusual vehicles parked farther down the street. She noticed unfamiliar faces nearby, but she dismissed the thoughts. Perhaps she was simply overthinking. Inside the hospital, Linda was already frustrated. Staff shortages had created additional stress. She immediately assigned Maya another impossible workload. The emergency room was overflowing. Multiple departments needed assistance. Everyone looked exhausted. Maya simply got to work. At exactly 10:12 a.m., the hospital's front entrance became unusually quiet. Security guards stood upright. People slowed their pace. Then everyone heard it. Military vehicles, one after another. Black SUVs, official transport vehicles. Uniformed officers stepping out. Doctors stopped walking. Nurses gathered near windows. Patients stared curiously. Nobody understood what was happening. Then an elderly 4-star general exited the lead vehicle. He carried a sealed wooden box. Behind him stood nearly 20 veterans. Some wore medals. Some wore civilian clothing. Many carried flowers. Every one of them looked emotional. The entire hospital froze. Security approached carefully. The general smiled. Then he said something that instantly spread throughout the building. We are here for Maya Brooks. Confusion exploded everywhere. The rookie nurse? People exchanged bewildered looks. Linda looked particularly stunned. Moments later, Maya emerged from a patient room. The instant she saw them, time seemed to stop. Her eyes widened. Emotion flooded her face. The veterans stood straighter. Several smiled through tears. Then something remarkable happened. Every single one of them saluted her. 20 people, standing silently, saluting one nurse. The hospital became completely silent. No one had ever seen anything like it. The general stepped forward. He began speaking. He explained who Maya Brooks truly was. He described decades of classified service. He described impossible missions. He described extraordinary courage. He described countless lives saved. He described a woman who repeatedly chose others over herself. People stood speechless. Doctors covered their mouths. Nurses stared in disbelief. Linda looked frozen. Then the general shared stories. Stories Maya never told. Stories she intentionally buried. He described Maya entering dangerous environments without hesitation. He described her treating civilians and soldiers simultaneously. He described her carrying wounded teammates through enemy territory. He described her refusing evacuation until everyone else was safe. Then he said something nobody would ever forget. Many heroes chase recognition. Maya Brooks spent 20 years avoiding it. Tears appeared everywhere. The general then opened the wooden box. Inside sat the nation's highest civilian recognition for extraordinary service beyond duty. It had been approved months earlier. They wanted to present it publicly, not because Maya needed validation, but because society needed examples like her. Examples of humility. Examples of service. Examples of true leadership. The veterans approached one by one. Each placed an item before her: photographs, unit patches, letters, medals, memories. Many cried openly. Several embraced her. Meanwhile, hundreds of people watched in stunned silence. For years, they had passed Maya in hallways. For months, they had underestimated her. And all along, greatness had quietly walked beside them. Then something happened nobody expected. The young leukemia patient, Elijah, stepped forward. He looked at Maya with admiration. His mother cried softly. In that moment, two worlds collided. The warrior and the healer both existed inside one woman. And everyone finally understood. News spread rapidly. Within hours, videos appeared online. Millions watched. People everywhere shared her story. But Maya herself remained unchanged. The next morning, she arrived at 5:30 a.m., exactly as usual. Same parking spot, same lunch bag, same quiet demeanor. Nothing external had altered her character, but internally, something had changed. For years, she had hidden, not because she felt ashamed, but because she wanted peace. Now she realized visibility could inspire others. Maybe people needed these stories. Maybe humility deserved a spotlight too. At the hospital, everything changed. Co-workers treated her differently. Doctors respected her even more. Patients adored her. Even Linda struggled to process everything. Days later, Linda approached Maya privately. The weight of guilt consumed her because she finally understood something painful. She had spent months judging someone she never bothered to know. She had reduced an extraordinary woman into stereotypes and assumptions. And now she had to live with that realization. Maya accepted her apology gracefully because carrying anger had never been her way. Years earlier, she learned that forgiveness often heals the person offering it. Weeks later, St. Gabriel established a new mentorship program. They named it after Maya. Its mission was simple: teach future healthcare workers leadership through compassion, teach resilience, teach humility, teach service. Months later, Elijah completed treatment successfully. His smile returned permanently. He often visited Maya afterward. One day, he wrote something that she framed forever. Heroes don't always wear capes. Sometimes they wear scrubs. That sentence touched her deeply, because after decades of darkness, she had finally discovered a new mission: helping people live without fear. As years passed, Maya became legendary inside St. Gabriel, not because she wanted fame, but because authentic goodness always leaves a mark. People told her story repeatedly. The rookie nurse who wasn't a rookie at all. The woman who survived war only to choose healing over glory. The black woman society underestimated until the truth arrived at her workplace. But perhaps the most powerful lesson wasn't about her military career. It was about assumptions. The world often teaches people to judge quickly, to reduce strangers into stereotypes, to underestimate quiet individuals, to overlook humble people. Yet history repeatedly proves one thing: greatness rarely announces itself. Greatness often arrives silently. It carries lunch bags instead of trophies. It chooses service over applause. It chooses kindness over recognition. And sometimes, greatness looks exactly like Maya Brooks, a woman who spent her entire life protecting people without asking for anything in return. Because the strongest people often don't tell you how strong they are. They simply show up every day. They do the work. They help others. And they continue moving forward. So the next time you meet someone quiet, humble, and seemingly ordinary, remember this story. Because you never truly know the battles people have survived. You never know the sacrifices hidden behind their smiles. And you never know when an unsung hero is standing right beside you. If this story moved you, don't forget to like this video, share it with someone who believes kindness matters, comment your thought below, and subscribe to Black Legacy for more powerful stories that expose injustice, celebrate resilience, and remind us that true greatness often lives where nobody is looking. Because legacies aren't built through applause. They're built through service. And Maya Brooks had already built hers long before anyone noticed.